right. I believe this means we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tech fans of all shapes and sorts and sizes and persuasions, welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Tech Chat Show on the SGGQA podcast channel. I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, aka Some Gadget Guy, the SGG of this terribly named podcast series. It's like one of the worst names in podcasts, but the QA at the end of that nonsensical string of letters is the important part, which obviously stands for question and answer. As we like to make this an interactive conversation. I like to hold my podcast on a Monday. We have the whole week of news leading up. We're going to talk about some of that. Maybe some news broke right this morning. Probably going to talk about that. And we like to kind of sort out our feels, dig in just a little bit more than just reading a headline, getting outraged, sharing terrible content on social media to enrich the lives of mega channel influencers, and then moving on from there. We like to kind of understand and explain and learn a little bit more as we go along, because we're very clever. The folks in my chat are the very, very clever ones. I have to immediately jump into one amazing fanfare of glory from RicoMan17, subscribed on Twitch at Tier 1. They've been subscribed for 53 months. Man, aside from my wife, that's like a longer relationship. With almost any. I'm kidding. It's a terrible joke. But you get one terrible, I don't have a soundboard working currently, fanfare of glory, a cappella style. My voice is shot. We had 2 softball games over the weekend, but I feel like I can make it through a casual show. It's like, I know the last Monday of every month we try to make a pajama podcast. Last week my voice still wasn't 100% either. We tried to do a pre-recorded interview, and boy howdy was Restream not having that. Could not get audio to work. If you go and catch the replay, it is an awesome conversation with one of the VPs at AMD to talk about AI and consumer electronics. I really enjoyed that conversation. It's cleaned up. The finished version of the podcast, the replay versions of the podcast, all doing much, much better. But RicoMan17, thank you so much for the support. Everybody who's out there sharing content that they actually like, not trying to shame content that they think is bad. Those things make a big difference when we're trying to host these types of conversations. So thank you. The support is greatly appreciated. As I see an incredible list of names in this chat right now. Bionic Scoop already jumping in. One! We got to say, hey, Scoop! Scoop on the private Discord just shared a whole bunch of really awesome wrestling photos, and he's working on a racing rig. So he just shared a photo of his racing rig, his video gaming racing rig, and it looks pretty sweet so far. We've got Umar Aslam saying, "Sup, how you guys doing?" They're testing the S26U charging right now. Good on you. Getting in there with some Galaxy, because I'm definitely gonna be making fun of the Galaxy Unpacked event, just as we've had a little time and distance and separation from it. Simon Says Hypno saying hey to Jimmy. We've got Moshe Malaki. I've mispronounced your name. So I wanted to say the reason why I follow you, not just because we both had a rust, but we still had love for that matter for LG, but you can really just tell how it is. It's not about the brand. I feel like this has been really pressing lately as... So this completely just derailed my brain, in a good way. I feel like this has become really pressing lately because I think a lot of us in these kinds of circles, like this like kind of gadget enthusiasm space, where we are entertained by the product and we like to know what the products can do, and the industry is interesting to us. We like to talk about it. And I really feel that lately, over the last couple of years, we've seen this pressure and this squeeze to oversimplify and kind of eradicate a lot of the deeper conversations that happen around our gadgets and our tech. Like, one channel might be allowed to kind of rise up as a bigger channel for, testing electronics. And then there's way less room in the algorithm for anyone else to kind of pop up and contribute to those conversations. Like, we're allowed one major face of right to repair. And now the algorithm acts like, well, we got that handled. Anyone else who's adding, yeah, that's great. You can have your own little slop pile of engagement, but we've got the one guy who's like the face of this. And with YouTube's constant pressure to just ratchet up time on site, maximize their earnings, really put pain points on people who don't want to pay for a subscription to YouTube, it really seems like the topical, the conversational, the feature focuses are all kind of struggling across our hobby. Like, look at the channels that we used to really frequent, like for good, high quality explained videos, topic videos, tutorial videos. All of that's getting mashed down. And the pressure is really on, like, how many unboxing commercials can a techie make? It's exhausting. It's designed to wear us out. Like, I've got so much stuff on my desk right now, and the prevailing win on YouTube would be, well, let me just do unboxing videos for all of it, and I'll get way more traffic than if I sit here and actually try to review and talk about it and show features and monetize that traffic so I can make a living on doing more work to talk about that product. Instead, wouldn't it just be better if I did like a top-down camera and you saw my hands kind of moving around and I just told you what the specs were on GSM Arena? Like, you can go and read that, but I'd probably get more traffic easier if I just did that. And if it's not going to be a wildly popular device, as long as it's new, I can just do an unboxing video. So it's just been a lot of pressure lately, and it seems that that kind of mentality, like, creators who are doing really well right now seem to have like pigeonholed themselves into what they think YouTube is gonna want them to do. So sorry, I didn't mean to kind of go there. Like, that's usually what I save for like the middle or end of a podcast. We got Bradley Larcher, John Gao, Ron GKP, Command Control Device, all saying hello and good morning. And a special thank you to Simon and Georgie for giving me a heads up on my mic test. I'm trying to make sure all that's looking good. I know I'm missing some names in here, but I do want to jump into some fun conversations. Georgie, we all had our fun moments with Samsung Unpacked. We even had like a little bit of a chat going on the Discord, like not live blogging it, but just kind of live reacting as a group. And man, we'll get into that, but man, it just makes me kind of sad. And Rico Man 17, yes, Rico Man. Sorry, I didn't have when the subscription comment comes up. For some reason, Restream won't give me the subscription comment. Hey, what's your first impressions of the Ray Neo 4 Pro? I'm tempted to get it, but can't trust most of the videos out about it. So I have a short. It's funny, like the folks at Ray Neo. Here, I can grab them. You know what, let's kick it off with just a little hardware here before I even get into some housekeeping. The folks at Ray Neo sent these my way for me to test drive. What was funny is, like, they specifically asked for a short. And normally I wouldn't like alter my review method, because that to me feels like, oh, well, you're kind of asking more for a commercial. But we did this with the Air 3S Pro also, where they didn't really demand any kind of like sponsored tropey things. Like, they weren't asking, oh, can you send us all the video beforehand so we can approve it? And you're like, because I won't do that. I've turned down so many, even just like collaborative opportunities. Like, hey, we've got this phone, we'd love to send it to you. Cool, here's what I call a review, and you can't tell me anything about it, and it's just my thoughts. Oh, well, I mean, it's like part of this campaign. Cool, let's talk about a sponsored video. I'm down to do an overview of your product as a sponsored video. No, there's like no money involved. So we'll give you this thing that you could totally buy, but we also want like weeks worth of work for free. And then you'll get an affiliate link, and you can hawk the affiliate link, and that's how you'll make money by advertising us more after you've done all this labor to make the video. And then I say F off. That's not what happened here. So I really feel like the Ray Neo Air 4 Pro are kind of now my top recommendation for someone wanting to get into this space. The image quality is nicely improved over the original Air. They're very similar to the Air 3S Pro, the last generation of Airs that came out. But the menu has gotten clearer. It's gotten easier to control all the features and settings. 120 hertz. It's the world's first HDR10 certified headset. Actually, kind of nice when you have HDR content. And I kind of feel like, even though they're not as techy as Rokid or Xreal, they kind of run a little cooler on my face. So when I'm doing a lot of the image stabilization stuff with Xreal, I can get to a point where, oh, I'm a little sweaty, where the glasses are running warmer because it's literally doing more compute on my face. These aren't as techy as cool. Like, they don't have any built-in stabilization or anything like that. But if you're not sensitive to that kind of motion, they run cooler. So I've got a short out. You can catch a short on my YouTube channel. And then on the Patreon, I have an early access written review where I go through a lot of what I just said right now. Spoilers for the written review. But I have more details to kind of share with them. The long and short of it is, if you want to take a face display, a cinema headset for a test drive, I would strongly recommend starting with a Ray Neo Air, because right now they're like $250. They are kind of in the ballpark of a nice portable monitor. So you can jump in on something like this, see if you like it. Also use that as your first test, because every pair of glasses has slightly different widths, distances, focusing, birdbath optics. It's very much like earbuds. You won't know if these earbuds really fit your ears until you try and shove them in your ears. Putting a display on your face is an order of magnitude more complicated than earbuds. Earbuds are pretty mature products. Face displays are still, even though we've had them for several years now, I think the first pair that I tried out was about 7 years ago. You gotta give them a try. So like, you put some on your face and they don't work for you at all. That doesn't mean face displays don't work for you. It means that one piece of hardware wasn't calibrated for your face. You might do better with Xreals. You might do better with Rokids. You might do better with Virtues, stuff like that. So, Rico Man, thank you for asking. A written review on patreon.com/somegadgetguy. An intro short, just showing them off and talking about some of the upgrades, is available on the YouTubes. I really enjoy face displays. Simon says, Hypno, I miss LG. David and Go, I just bought a V20. Oh, I should pull my V20 out, see if it's still working. That would be really nice. I should do a revisit. Let's see. SquishyMan38 saying, hello, hope everyone is doing well this Monday morning. Kenok saying Netflix needs to make a YouTube competitor. I don't think anyone is going to try to make a YouTube competitor ever again. Too many issues with copyrighted content, too many issues with monetization. I mean, the company that owns all of the adult entertainment websites would probably have been our best bet to see a mainstream video sharing non-adult platform, because they already have the infrastructure, they already have good relationships with advertisers and monetization, and how to lock down accounts and prevent copying material that they shouldn't. Like, if the tube sites couldn't figure out a mainstream path to legit content, I don't think anyone's going to build one from scratch. I think instead what we're going to see is the web shrink, and a lot of things like a Patreon type platform where, yeah, you've got to like subscribe. It's got to be sort of fan funded. The servers, the maintenance, the upkeep, all of that is kind of built into the cost, especially now that YouTube ads are so terrible. A lot of people are just going to subscribe to YouTube anyway. That's, I think, the only path forward for a YT competitor, but I really don't see it likely that we ever get that kind of broad public-facing, mainstream video sharing site ever again. I think it's all going to silo down into very specific niches, topics, kind of creator-focused stuff like that. Average Dad. Average Dad saying, hey from MWC, buddy. I'm so jealous. MWC is the show I kind of miss. MWC and Computex. I loved covering Computex. But MWC was so much fun, and I do miss kind of heading out and getting there. I am really going to try and keep this week's show light because there is dark news happening all around the world right now. I can't lie. I am a little... I am a little relieved that some of the talk, I was talking to a company about maybe trying to cover MWC and getting sponsored to go out there. But right now I'm kind of happy I'm not traveling as an American over the Atlantic right now. It's just really messy stuff is happening. So I hope everybody out there is keeping their heads down, staying safe. I hope the folks in Barcelona are welcoming and keeping you all chill. The show looks like it's a lot of fun, so I am bummed that I'm not there to cover it, but I'm also kind of relieved that I'm not there to cover it. From Simon Says Hypno, Juan, have you tried the Tozo Viso Z1 Pro glasses? I put them on my face at CES, not really long enough to do much, but it is encouraging to see a few of these other companies kind of stepping up to deliver some competitive options. I really feel it's the Ray Neo space that we want to see kind of pick up. Better quality optics, better quality OLEDs, lighter frames, cooler running. Like figure out where you can put the electronics so you don't cook someone's face, and then see if you can arrive around 300, sub 300. I feel like increasingly, when I look at that X-Reals are almost twice the price. Well, actually the X-Real S, the X-Real 1S is more than twice the price of the current sale price for the Ray Neo. It's a harder recommendation for someone until I know they're gonna like the experience, right? If you could test drive and get an idea of this at $250, then you can make an argument like, oh, if you really like this, but you know, you wanted to smooth it, or you wanted head tracking, or you wanted some slightly better AR features, then you can jump to an X-Reel. I don't think it's a smart move right now to jump directly to an X-Reel. Like, it's just tough to know, are you gonna dig it? And especially because I've gotten a few of these glasses into family members' hands. Like my uncle really likes the Rokids because of the diopters. I have a friend from high school. She really likes the, I gave her the old TCL Next Wears. And she just loves that, like, yeah, I put them on my face and these magnetic cables snap on. And you're like, that's one of the things I hated about them. And you like it, so you can just keep my headset. Georgie talking to Average Dad. Hey, I love your rant Samsung video. You should make more of them. We're definitely. I feel like there's a certain flavor of tech enthusiasm that has been very critical of some of our bigger announcements recently. Pixels per inch. Are there any phones that don't use AI at all in their image processing? I'm upgrading from my Xperia, but I can't find a phone without that horrible AI generated look, especially the Vivo and Oppo. So, unfortunately, I think Sony is kind of unique, but even Sony is leaning into some slightly more crowd-pleasing color processing. They're just sort of they've always been like a couple generations behind whatever the popularity trend is. Not that I'm saying like, oh, well, the next Sony's gonna do all the AI, but I would expect that even Sony will eventually migrate into what you're talking about, like the sharpening, the sort of the way that we make up data whenever you crop zoom. So when you zoom on a smartphone camera, really you're just cutting away information from the sensor, and then you're taking less information, trying to blow it up and make it look like a full resolution image again. And that effect is always pretty weak. Now with AI, it's sharper, but you can like zoom in and see like, oh, this is not actual real detail. It's that like textured, spotty, grainy look as an AI is trying to make up information to fill in the lack of actual physical pixels. I'm explaining stuff you all already know. But on any phone, I'm now more strongly recommending grab the phone, check out what the camera does in auto mode, because like pixels per inch, what you probably don't like is in that full auto mode. But if it's a Vivo, a Xiaomi, an Oppo, definitely check through the filters and definitely check through the settings, because a lot of that AI upscaling, like on a OnePlus or on an Oppo, you can get in there and say, hey, do less. On a Xiaomi, you can go in and say, hey, don't do this AI upscale, upres image. You can scale it way back. That might be enough to kind of have you go like, all right, so in auto mode, I know it's going to do this. It's not my favorite, but I can rein this in and it's going to deliver images that I like better, right? But then beyond that, get comfortable using the pro modes. That's usually where we see the least image manipulation, is in the pro modes. And if you ever see tech creators, influencers besmirch the pro mode, you can imagine yourself repeatedly kicking them in the genitals, because those are the stupidest complaints you can share with an audience. They are telling you they are idiots and you should believe them. So open your pro mode and then change nothing, and the phone is still going to shoot full auto. Oh, but it's so complicated. Who could even have the mental wherewithal? You pick up your phone camera and you go into the pro mode, and then you've got to like adjust all the settings for every single shot. And that person is telling you how terrible they are at technology and how miserable they are at photography. They're just telling you, like, to your face. You should just believe them that they're the worst. Because like you think about like your pro modes is just like your exposure slider. Maybe that's the only adjustment you need to make, but you can lock that in a pro mode. Whereas on an auto mode, most auto modes, you tap and then you have to wiggle and slide. Well, if you're in really bright conditions and you just know like, hey, I'd actually like my photos to look like photos, I can just purposely go 1/3 stop under. Let me go to my pro mode. You'll have the least AI processing. If you want, you can also capture a raw photo to edit from a pure source. You get a little texture, a little grain. It's not obliterated by noise reduction algorithms and upscaling algorithms. And you don't have to tweak your ISO, your shutter speed, your white balance, your metering. Like, you don't have to touch any of that. You can just push the shutter and it's great. So it's tough because I still feel like Sony from 2 generations ago had the best camera focused, professional style camera apps on the market. And the more recent Sonys, I feel, are a little too simplistic, auto mode. I really wish they had kept that trio of camera apps. But now, because maybe Sony's going a little too auto, I think you've got opportunities to look at every other manufacturer, maybe manufacturers using better hardware, and then jump into, if you're shooting video, jump into a Blackmagic camera, jump into a Motion Cam Pro. If you're shooting stills, maybe jump into Open Camera, right? Just capture a sort of standard JPEG, nothing fancy, no frills processing. The app looks awful, but it's going to give you a very streamlined kind of output. Get away from the built-in apps, and I think you're going to do just fine. I talked longer on that than I meant to. Oh, right. Oh, average dad. I had drinks with Enabong last night, Juan. We spoke a lot about you. I really miss like the old internet. We were doing that weekly podcast, man. The Board at Work podcast was so much fun. And it makes me crazy sad because all the things I remember saying from that Board at Work podcast still really haven't come to pass. I was ahead of my curve when I was ahead of my curve, and I did not know I was ahead of the curve. Chris Pollard, I love the idea of the glasses, but OnePlus doesn't properly support video out on the OnePlus 13, and I do worry about my garbage eyes and whether I could even use them without custom lens inserts. So OnePlus 13 should have proper video output, I don't think I've run into anything on the OnePlus 12, 13, or 15 that didn't work. The issue is we don't have a good desktop mode, but like for example, if the main thing that you're looking at glasses for is watching movies, I think they're an incredible cinema experience. They're amazing when you're traveling, but they're also kind of fun around the house. Um, if that's what you're really looking at, see if you can get into the habit of watching your video through apps like VLC. I know this is more complicated. We'd love for Netflix to just fire up and work properly, but Netflix really has no incentive to make the experience of mobile video better, even though they pioneered mobile streaming video. They're actually now one of the more hostile services for easily moving your video to other displays, right? So if you get in the habit of watching through VLC, VLC will screencast, which is critical. So you plug into the OnePlus, you fire up VLC, VLC will see, that's terrible, VLC will notice that you're using an external display. It will send the video to the external display, and then it's going to turn all the pixels on your phone screen black. So it saves you battery life if you're using an OLED screened phone or tablet, and it properly fills the 16 by 9 of the glasses, so you don't have extra letterboxing and pillar boxing. It is one of the best experiences you can have for mobile streaming video, and you don't need to go into a full desktop mode for that kind of entertainment. So stuff like that, I think, is really the best way to do it, but you need to have video that you can watch through a direct app on your phone like VLC. Otherwise, it gets trickier. Like, if I fire up my Plex server, my phone screen is 20 by 9 or 21 by 9. It's really, really long and skinny. So I already have this kind of letterboxing just from my phone screen, and then the content I have to like stretch or fill or do something funky, and I don't have full use of the glasses. And with Plex, my phone screen stays on, showing the same thing that I'm watching in the glasses. That kind of stuff is super annoying. But then the other hook would be, if this is the kind of stuff that really matters to you, you might want to start looking at an Honor, you might want to start looking at a Moto, and you might need to stick with the Samsung to have proper desktop mode, full secondary display coverage, and that the phone screen will turn off after your timeout, but the content stays up in the glasses. That's the best I can do. Oh, right on. Rico Man 17. I will read the Patreon post and probably order from Amazon, as the return is easier to deal with if I need to. The cool thing is, talking about shills hawking affiliate links, I just noticed I don't really I have a B&H affiliate account. I don't really use it. I was kind of mainlining Amazon, but the Ray Neo are on B&H. So if you're also worried about getting a quality product, getting good shipping, having it, well packaged, having a reasonable return policy, you might want to check out shops like B&H and Adorama. I think Sammy's Camera might start carrying some stuff like that, because these glasses are popular with drone owners. So don't forget. I mean, like, sure, we're all kind of tied into Amazon, but there are a couple other places you can shop and compare. And again, if you're worried about a good return policy, I trust B&H way more now than I trust Amazon. Oh, pixels per inch. I got the X-Real Air for $200, but the only time I use them is on flights, and half the time I'm flying overnight, so it kind of makes it pointless. Again, this is silly. I kind of got in the habit. I love really, really gory horror films, and there's sometimes like my daughter's watching some stupid Disney movie that I hate on the big TV. Like, she got really into zombies. I hated those movies. Like, The Descendants were terrible films, but they were funny concepts. Like, what if the kids of all the villains from Disney movies got together and did songs and choreography and dance battles? All right, that's garbage content, but it's kind of clever, funny garbage content. The zombies films are just awful, and I hate them so much. So she would put something like that on, and I'd be like, well, I do actually want to watch a zombie movie, but nothing that I want within earshot or eye shot of my daughter. And I would throw on some glasses. So again, the context of how and where you use them absolutely matters. I love them when traveling, even on an overnight flight. Maybe I'll watch a couple episodes of a TV show, then shut them down, go to sleep. I want that capability. I want that hardware. I do not want to be on an airplane without some kind of entertainment uh, broadcasting projector solution like that. Do do do. Let's see. Oh, Sepenerek Betcha. I have no idea how you pronounce your username. Bro, Juan, will you ever do some reviews in audio contraptions, gizmos in the near future? Speakers, earphones, and headphones. So, yes. These are a little older. I'm not going to go too precious. Again, these might be written reviews, and maybe I'll just do a short to show them off. But I'm playing with the Mondos. So they've got their retro headset here, and they've got their dual driver ANC cans. So I'm gonna be playing with these guys, sharing some thoughts on those. And then these just came in, and I'm way behind on these. The company reached out, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we were gonna send you some. We totally forgot." But I'm such a huge sucker for Meze. Oh, I've got the cable stuck on my desk. I'm such a huge sucker for Meze, and this is a big refresh. So the Meze 99 Classics V2, again, some of the most stunningly beautiful headphones I've ever handled. I never rank aesthetic very high in my review of headphones. I don't see what I look like when wearing headphones, and I really can't care what I look like if the sound is amazing. I've got like my ribbon headphones up there. It makes me look like the dorkiest 1970s Doctor Who Cyberman ever. The headband is ludicrously stupid, but those headphones sound great and I love them. So, that being said, there is something so desirable about handling Meze. And there's something so blanket on a rainy day comfortable about wearing Meze. I love the experience that a Meze headphone will bring. And I like the refresh. The 99s have never been my favorite. I love the Meze 105s. Oh, the Meze 105s are going toe to toe with my absolute favorite, like my Audeze planar magnetic headphones. But the tuning and tweaking on a closed back walnut wood finish ear cup Meze headphone, I really like what these are doing. So I've been listening. I've had my ears in these a lot. I'm going to do sort of a combo review comparison against the Meze 99. So I don't have the 99 Classics in-house anymore. I have no idea. I think I might have given my 99 Classics to my dad. But I have the 99 Neo because those are my daughter's favorite nice headphones. And the 99 Neo are not my jam. That kind of deep V, really bassy, really bassy. It's a very aggressive bass head kind of headphone. The V2, I think my daughter is going to hate these, and I'm going to love them. So it's fun. We have fun. I'm way behind on the chat. We haven't even gotten to like, oh, let's do some housekeeping and talk about the articles and things. This is fun. I could keep this up all day. Some folks are talking about different camera modes. You can definitely play around with some of that stuff. Some folks are talking about diopters and different headsets. So pixels per inch. Unfortunately, in Master and Pro mode, it doesn't have any noise reduction in HDR, so I can't find a happy medium between AI-generated look and something that looks worse than my Xperia. And I can appreciate that, but I gotta tell you, this is the thing that I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky and my family has some taste. But I've found as I've gone from like bringing my mirrorless cameras to family events to using my phone, that when I hit a photo with less noise reduction, people seem to treat it more like a photo. I do have a couple aunts and uncles like, oh, it's so grainy. And then like no one pays attention to them. But when I'm pulling off these shots and it looks like an old photograph because there's some noise and there's some grain and there's better preservation of detail, there's a better image. And I have a couple cousins that don't love it because they face tune everything they do. So, sure, I'm not going to trust their assessment of a photo. But I'm actually kind of increasingly working against anything that hits the noise reduction at all, or like at least too hard. There's a big thing I was really upset about on the OnePlus 12 and the OnePlus 13 is you had the Hasselblad X-Pan mode. And it's just a crop. Like they take the pixel resampling data and they crop to a very wide kind of field of view. It's a wide image. But I never used X-Pan because the the noise reduction was extreme and everything had this kind of smeary plasticky look. And you're talking about X-Pan. You're talking about a wide film frame kind of field of view. Like that's where we should have a little grain, a little noise, and not just I added artificial camera grain, film grain to this. Like just let the sensor data be noisy and X-Pan would look so much more authentic. It would look so much more real and gritty, and I really like that. And especially like some of my favorite photos of my daughter. I'll shoot like crazy high ISO. I really want to freeze the action. It's kind of lower light. I know the image is going to be super grainy. I flip it to black and white and it just looks like a photo. So I totally appreciate, especially coming from a Sony, a little noise reduction, not heavy-handed, not image reconstruction noise reduction. It's nice. But when you're playing around with these other phones, I would not write off the ability to like just go real crunchy, real noisy. Start from there. And then if you want, you can fire up something like I don't really use Lightroom, but like Photomate R3. The noise reduction isn't amazing, but it's not bad. I mean, it's definitely going to clean out the image. I mean, better than using some of the older apps that we've used, like Snapseed. So it can be solid. I just say, like, maybe play around. Maybe try on your Sony. Do it with your Sony now. Like, crank that ISO. Make that image, destroy that image with noise, and see how far you can stretch the edit. And then maybe you just won't need to worry about which phone you go to next. If their processing is a little heavy-handed, you can just completely circumvent it. You can completely sidestep it. Midnight State just popping in for a bit during my lunch break. Got a OnePlus 15 last week to replace my Pixel 9 Pro XL. General performance, battery life are leagues better. Samsung and Google have to do better. I completely agree. No, Darcy. No. Darcy says, I didn't know what it was, so I Googled. And hey, breaking news Zombies 5 has been greenlit. No. I hate it so much. Oh. And then you're gonna have to tell me how you want me to say your name here. Saipenarekabetcha. Those are mesmerizing. I love it. I love the pun. All right, so just as we're kind of jumping in. Oh, you know what? I didn't even pull this stuff up. Let me just fire up the Patreon. We can get into some housekeeping now that we're 40 minutes into the podcast here. That sounds like a great idea, Juan. I'm the best host ever. Burr, burr, burr. Okay. So, here, let me screen share this real quick. Like I said, we've got a full review on the Patreon. In the Patreon post, I am just linking the short, the video right at the top, but the rest of the written review is below that short. Then we got to buy the benchmarks. I updated the mid-ranger lists to add the Vivo V70 and a new mystery phone with a Dimensity chip that I have not had the chance to test yet. So all the bar graphs and testing and just really how crazy overkill um, the mid rangers have gotten. I feel mid rangers are now at that kind of place where we were about 4 or 5 years ago with premium tier phones. This is way overboard for compute power for most people's daily driver needs. Then I posted the interview standalone because last week the podcast got weird. My interview with Michael Nordquist from AMD, just to talk about AI PCs. And then just recently, too, full video reviews out on the Infinix Note 60 Pro and the Vivo V70, which are just ruthlessly embarrassing the phones that we can get here in the United States. I handle a Vivo V70. No, it's over here on my desk, but it's kind of buried under a bunch of other stuff. I pick up a Vivo V70, and for $500, it just feels like across the board so much better a product than what a Pixel 10a is going to represent. And then I pick up an Infinix, and it's not even like whatever the rumors are on this like amazing new Infinix that's supposed to come out. The Note 60 Pro is roughly a $350 phone depending on what region you shop it in, and it feels like hardware that's just better than the mid-ranger phones, the Galaxy A, the Pixel A, the iPhone E's. And here's this Infinix, and they're trying to step up their software support. So I've got full reviews out on both the Vivo V70 and the Infinix. Actually, technically my video, this is what's so funny. And I mentioned this before, but I just have to repeat myself here. Technically, my video on the Infinix Note 60 Pro is not a review. But you can tell I'm so charmed by a product that when I go out of my way to try and shoot like a loose, casual, easier overview video, that video is still like 17 minutes long. I put more time on that as not a review than I have on many other phones that I've actually properly reviewed. It's because like I wasn't working with a tight script. I just had notes. I'm just kind of talking. I'm just really off the cuff. And throughout this time, I've got this video, this top-down shot. I just kept finding other things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Infinix more than I've wanted to talk about any Pixel from the last like 2 years. And then it just drives me crazy that what passes for a $300 phone here in the United States is so much lesser than what this Infinix can do. Do I have it here on my desk? Yes, I do. And it's pretty, and it's blue, and it has a case with the magnets built in. And actually, Infinix regularly includes like wireless chargers. The Note 40 Pro had a combo kit that had a magnet. And it's got one really good camera and one kind of mediocre camera. And it's got a heart rate sensor built into it so you could do your fitness tracking from the phone. And the screen is nice, and it's got an IR blaster so you can use it as a universal. I mean, it's just like for $350, this is a really good buy. And it makes me so sad that we don't get proper competition like that here in the United States. So, moving right along, footloose and fancy free. I don't know. I kind of feel like when we were chatting in the Discord, I got a lot of my ire and venom out just during reacting to Samsung Unpacked. Then I put out a short just like making fun of the value of an S26 Ultra. Like it's basically a different screen and then there's like a battery downgrade, which isn't great. So I don't know how much we really want to rehash Unpacked. this late, but I gotta say it was one of the most disappointing keynotes in a year of really disappointing keynotes. I feel like my experience. Okay, sorry, I'm all over the place right now. I'm gonna take one more just big swig of coffee. I'm gonna try and kick this caffeine into gear, and we're gonna talk about this. Hold on, just one second. I just don't want to slurp on the mic. Okay, my brain went in four different directions. Kicking off 2026 and going to CES, it is still shocking to me how different the vibe on the floor was from a lot of the mainstream coverage of the event that you would read if you weren't there in Vegas. What I saw was a really exciting floor with a lot of anxiety. I saw a really great collection of camera tools and accessories, and drones were interesting, and people were talking about these as opportunities, but with the specter of we don't know what component pricing is going to do to us. VR, there were people trying to show off VR solutions. There was a plethora of face displays and augmented reality and AR glasses and heads-up displays and like really interesting hardware. But from the outside, if you weren't on the show floor in Vegas, what you mostly heard was AI, 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 AI. NVIDIA keynote. We don't need consumers anymore. We don't even bother trying to sell products to consumers because we're an AI business and we make all our money by giving OpenAI $30 billion so OpenAI can buy hardware from us. That's a rigged market. This is certainly not a bubble, a self-inflating bubble. No, no, no. This is an actual, legit, sustainable, serious business. For reals, guys. So that really set a sour tone, I think, for the way that we cover some of these big events. Thankfully, MWC seems to be a lot more exciting, but I'm sitting and I'm watching the Galaxy presentation. I'm watching Unpacked, and they make this big thing. And here is the new Galaxy S26 Ultra. And the crowd goes wild because it's the exact same phone, but Samsung knows that the people who are invited to their events are going to be cheerleaders at their events. And you look at this and you're like, okay, so what's cool about it? And what do they kick off their discussion of the show? Let's tell you all about Galaxy AI. So they bring out a person to tell you about Galaxy AI. And that person brings out another Samsung person to talk more about the AI. And then that person brings out a Google person to talk more about the AI. Before we had even really gotten into talking about the phone, the big reveal for the Galaxy S26 Ultra was Samsung really cares about the AI. You got to sell the AI because that's what's really hot right now. That's what's going to get the shareholders excited and has moved the needle not at all on consumer spending. Consumers play with a few fun features on their phone and then probably forget that those features exist, and there is no movement at all. Who was it? Was it Dell that actually came out and said, like, yeah, customers really don't care at all when we talk about AI. If we talk about battery life, yeah, people get real excited and they buy our laptops. But when we mention AI, it has no effect on what's happening here. So I feel like I'm being really pissy and really cranky, and I'm definitely being real critical. But I think this demonstrates the market manipulation that I've been accusing Samsung of since the last years of LG and HTC as viable players in the phone space. Is you would get an LG and you would get a Samsung and you would get an HTC, and these devices would all be broadly competitive. Each device would have unique pros and cons. Some would focus on one part of the experience, and then there'd be like some drawbacks, like, oh, it's kind of a bummer. The LG can't do this like the Samsung can. Now you've got diversification. You have a phone that might be better for one person and worse for another. That's a good thing. we have all these different like solutions because no two consumers are perfectly alike in how they use their phones. But back then, I would point out, hey, you've got massive YouTubers and you've got these bigger outlets and these bigger review websites, and I've seen firsthand how punitive Samsung PR can get. Samsung does not deserve their place as the de facto default option for an Android phone. They want everyone to think of them as the iPhone of Android, but they haven't earned it. They've just spent more than anyone else on their marketing. They've bought their win. And they're trying to apply the same pressure that Apple can with smaller influencers and media, where if you're not ready to toe the line, if you're not ready to just tell us how great we are all the time and make us sort of the default winner in implied comparisons, well, that's fine. We don't need to work with you. It's totally fine. We're not like canceling. None of this is sponsored, right? Someone gets access to Samsung. It's not a sponsorship. They're not paying money for it, but the early access is what drives readership. It's what drives video views. And so your videos are more profitable if you want early access. So to get early access, you have to tell us how great we are all the time. And I've seen what happens when Samsung turns on a website, turns on a reviewer, and kind of blacklists them. That's a big financial hit. That means your coverage is always behind. I want to point this out because, here, I pulled this up. The Galaxy S26 Ultra is in pre-order, right? The only people who have their hands on this phone are influencer creators that are chummy with Samsung PR. So if I go to Google Trends and I search broadly just for Galaxy S26, which could include S26, S26 Plus, S26 Ultra, and I look at the last month of search interest, February 22nd, there's a little bit of a bump, and then search interest skyrockets on February 24, peaking at February 25. And the fall off from February 25 to February 27 is roughly 50%, and it's just a downslope from there, down to 40% March 1st. So already, if you wanted to make videos about the Galaxy S26, any of the Galaxy S26s, but probably the Ultra is your best bet, your ability to monetize your video has fallen off by 60% just from 6 days ago. Only outlets that got to talk about it on the 24th and the 25th are really monetizing to the full potential of the popularity of that phone. Just 5 days later, you can only get a fraction of the potential search traffic for that topic. It's already fallen off that hard. So there is a significant financial pressure to play ball with Samsung so that your videos have the best potential they can to monetize at the tiny spike, the tiny peak of traffic that you're going to get. Now, when pre-orders start shipping and there's a whole flood of people really trying to get out there and say, I got my pre-order, and oh, I got mine. What color did you get? What cases? What accessories? Do you have magnets in your case? What about Samsung can't do anything right with MagSafe products? You know, like all of that, we're going to see a little bump again. But the peak, the main interest, the main way that you're going to monetize your videos is already dying fast. Already a downslope. And I just want to kind of pull this in. So let me see. I am not confident that the iPhone 17e is going to be a great iPhone in the lineup of iPhones. We're going to talk about that here in just a bit too. But let's compare. If you're a creator and you're trying to make money on a video, I've got to like let this reset. Oh, yeah, it's just climbing now. Okay, so we saw the peak, but is this... Let me just go down to the past week and see if it'll refresh. Okay, that's better. This is a better view. This supports my hypothesis, so I'm totally not rigging data on you. But you can do this yourself. Go to Google Trends and search for Galaxy S26 and iPhone 17e. So now, look, that line, the blue line is the peak of Samsung traffic, February 26th, and it's already plummeting. So what is it today in comparison? So peak traffic at 100. What is this down here? Oh, I can't even tell. Google Trends' numbers look... So it's down to like 20% now, and iPhone 17e is on a almost straight line vertical climb now that Apple has announced the iPhone 17e. So right now today, if you were trying to monetize a tech video, you would have double the potential, double the earnings potential of an iPhone 17e video today than you would any of the Galaxy S26 videos out. So I just feel like Samsung isn't bringing their best. The Galaxy S26 Ultra is kind of a retread of the S25 Ultra, which is a retread of the S24 Ultra, which is exceedingly similar to the S23 Ultra. And the only reason I was more positive on the S23 and 24 Ultras is because they were phenomenally better performers with better battery life over the S21 and S22s. But the fundamental experience of buying an Ultra hasn't changed a whole lot since 2020. S Pen here, S Pen there, Bluetooth features, some camera spec upgrades, but still similar sensor sizes. The lens did get a little bit nicer when they switched to a 200 megapixel sensor, but so many of the accessory points, the feature points have all remained largely stagnant. And to me, it really does feel like the corporate philosophy we saw from Apple. Apple got investigated by the Department of Justice for anti-consumer, antitrust, business practices, and they disclosed emails where Apple executives said, hey, you know what? The tech in the iPhone is already too good. If only there were a way that we could scale things back because our customers will still spend more. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what the email said. And then we saw strategies on iPhone E and iPhone Air, where it's literally, the iPhone Air was literally half the phone at the same price. And that moved a whole bunch of people higher up the food chain to go and get iPhone Pros. Because Apple's corporate strategy was how badly can we hurt our own customers and get them to love us for it and spend more to be evangelists for our blue bubbles. And I feel Samsung's strategy with the Galaxy S series is very similar. How can we keep just coasting and putting out the same stuff and tweak one little bit here and tweak one little bit there and then hype up, oh, this is the fastest we've ever seen pre-orders take off. But we still really haven't caught the sales numbers from when we had the Galaxy S10 and the Note 10 all in the same year, and foldables have not made up that difference. But, you know, like Samsung's ever really going to be challenged. You can just tell a whole bunch of influencers, oh, you know what you really care about is privacy screen, so just make a dozen videos about privacy screen. That is a nifty screen tech. That's not going to motivate a $1,400 phone purchase. Oh, you know what? Why don't you hype up Horizon Lock? Because remember, if you remember, I've been reviewing like really cool camera focused phones like Vivo's for like 6 years. I finally got into the Vivo camp about 6 years ago, seriously, and Xiaomi's even before that with the Mi 10s and the Mi 9s. And I have this phone in front of me. This is an X80 Pro, and you push record in stable horizon mode, and it doesn't matter how you turn it, it keeps the video flat. So this is now going on 5 years old, and also the X70 had it too. So 6-year-old tech, and influencers are out there going, "Isn't this so amazing, guys? Look, you can twist your galaxy like all around, and the video stays flat. This totally blows my mind." And cool. But when I showed that stuff off on a Vivo, people kind of just shrugged and like, "Oh yeah, it's kind of neat." I don't know, I really need it. Who's really doing action camera stuff with their phones? Everybody I know uses GoPros. So cool. So Samsung put out their marching orders. This is a feature we really care about. If you want to be invited to the next Unpacked, you've got to hype up your stable horizon lock. From Chris Pollard, I look at my old S24 Ultra and I just don't see anything really new or interesting since then with Samsung. Great phone. I almost feel bad that I didn't like it more. LOL. This is, I'm such a broken record on this point, but I think we've done, not people in my chat, we people on the other side of this camera like me have done an absolutely miserable job of properly educating consumers on consumer tech. I don't think we are educators. I think increasingly YouTube has figured out that for us to make money, we just need to be another arm of a company's product marketing. And we need to make cute little shorts, and we need to abbreviate, and we need to, make sure things are punchy and super cleanly edited. And ooh, it's so fun to watch, and crispy video and all that nonsense. And it's really a bummer because I know people for whom an an S Ultra would be the correct product. I don't really have a problem recommending an Ultra to someone, a Galaxy Ultra, if I know they're coming to me for a productivity device. The S Ultra is the crown jewel, get work done, fine point control with a stylus, DeX. I don't love new DeX, but you still have a better large screen, second screen system set up on that. If you're telling me you want to work on documents, you want to work on spreadsheets, you want the best platform for PowerPoint presentations, you're doing corporate, you're taking notes, you're doing work, that phone should be able to replace a humongous amount of laptop use. That is the phone you get. If you're telling me you're a content creator, you want to get into photography, you want to shoot video, you want to do fun stuff like that and edit that video and really use those cameras hard out in the field, miss me entirely with a Galaxy S Ultra. That is not the gig. The gig is Vivo, Oppo, Xiaomi, Huawei. Those are your content creator ultras. Samsung is your spreadsheet ultra, PowerPoint ultra. Maybe some graphics doodling, but really if you're doing that kind of work, you want a Galaxy Tab. You want a tablet. You don't want your phone for that. You just need the space. You need the canvas. You can doodle on an S Pen. I'm taking this way off track. But that's where we've absolutely failed consumers. Is we talk about phones like they're all one thing. And maybe some people will acknowledge that some phones at different prices can be better than other phones at other prices. But it's still, a phone is a phone that does phone things for phones. And you just scroll TikTok on your phone. And what about the average consumers? The basic people, the salt of the earth, morons. That's what passes for tech commentary now. So I feel like if we could properly categorize what a Galaxy Ultra represents, one, I do think fewer people would buy them. I want fewer people to buy $1,000 phones that they're never gonna get $1,000 worth of use out of. The vast majority of these so-called average consumers are looking for a streamlined basic communicator experience, and that should be sub $400 for a nice version of that. But you've got influencers out here holding up $1,400 phones going, hey guys, isn't it so cool how you can turn your phone like all the way around and like the video stays straight? Look at me. And so I did a stupid let me shoot video into a mirror short because like I'm just so tired of seeing influencers. So look guys, isn't this so neat? And you're like, yeah, we had it 5 years ago. We've had gimbal stabilizers in LGs. We've had gimbal rotation stabilizers in Vivos. I think there was a cheap Moto that had some kind of horizon lock. I think it was more a software feature than any kind of like advanced image stabilized floating lens apparatus, but like it's not that big a deal. But there's nothing else to talk about. That the Galaxy S26 Ultra phone also getting a price hike, not getting the best trade-in deals, or I don't even think, did they eventually offer up a storage bump? I don't think they did they? I don't know. I'm not actively shopping for one, so I haven't really been paying attention. Um, it just it kills me how dumb like all of this is, and that's what passes for content, for entertainment, is just a never-ending stream of disposable cotton candy fluff, unboxings. Whoa, guys, look at me. Isn't this so cool? And wow, I'm so excited to be partnering with Samsung so I can go to this event. And like, there's nothing of substance there. I just dropped my little finger fidget toy. I've got to pick that up off the carpet. Ugh. I need to get a new chair. This chair is way too creaky. Sorry, there were a couple comments here. Why is this not scrolling? Come on. Oh, Restream is getting weird. Hold on. Let me scroll up. Yeah, okay. So midnight state pre-order bonuses they used to offer. Oh, where did it go? I'm sorry, my Restream chat is getting really weird. Let me try and find the chat again. It just re-scrolled on me. Oh my god, this is so annoying. The pre-order bonuses they used to offer are gone in the US, at least at some retailers. You can still get a decent value with sales and incentives. I don't know why, and it's weirdly like my text is weirdly selected too. Simon says, Hypno, I've been tempted to get the next Paper 70 Ultra for use with a drone. I think that could be fun. I think that would be really fun. And scrolling down. Oh, there it is. Chris Pollard's comment about the S24 Ultra, which led me off on that other tangent. Speaking of Horizon Lock, I wonder if there's a way to enable it through Activity Launcher or something similar on the X300 Pro. I've been looking. I think there was some kind of software licensing dispute between the action camera companies like Insta360 and GoPro. Someone please correct me if I'm misremembering this. And I think, not that there was direct action against Vivo, but I think that was one of the reasons why when we went from the X90 Pro to the X100, Vivo dropped that feature. So unfortunately, Stable Horizon or Horizon Lock is not available on an X200 or X300. But I feel if someone were crafty enough, we might be able to like pull the camera app and see if there's a way to do that. But that's not something I'm going to spend a whole ton of time trying to figure out. Yeah, Georgie, Horizon Lock, now all YouTubers are turning their S26 Ultra in front of a mirror. I'll have you know that when I was doing Vivo Horizon Locks, I took a tripod, another camera, I went outside, I showed green hills and landscapes. I wasn't just sitting here shooting video at my floor or looking into a mirror. I even included some of those old clips from the X80 and X90 in my short, and showing you the, like, here's a hillside and I'm rotating the phone, and then I'd sync that up with the actual video from the camera, and it looks awesome. It is such a fun feature. If you're doing running around after a kid and you're wanting to kind of keep a good action stabilized shot, those were fun features. Samsung didn't invent them. Georgie, even pointing this out, even Michael Fisher pointed that Moto did it first in 2023, so they corrected him, pointing to Vivo's and the LG wing. Oh, I love Fisher, but yeah, he's not the most like, again, I think he has a much stronger memory for novelty, and he's not always archiving who did it first. I think it matters. To me, this really matters that we properly credit the companies that did it first, because that's how we encourage innovation. A company comes out with an innovative new feature, they should be financially rewarded for it, or that company dies, like LG. And so to me, that kind of stuff matters. I think it should matter to people who are enthusiasts and entertained by this. And so, like, I just remember, like, I got into an argument with Fisher on Twitter way back in the, like, Huawei maybe going to AT&T days. And just like, oh, well, I can't edit this video from my Huawei into my, what was he using? Final Cut timeline. And you're like, you're complaining that Final Cut doesn't support HEVC, but HEVC is better quality video at a lower file size, and that's coming from a phone that isn't going to be completely dependent on Google services. So, like, this is across the board an upgrade for who would use this phone, and you're complaining that he literally said, like, I don't care. It's like, I guess they just made their camera shitty. And you're like, but you're the dude who's, like, all about Star Trek and stuff. And, like, this is the guy that's giving us the Clicks communicator and the Clicks keyboards. You're like, wouldn't you hope that people remember what your company did as being kind of groundbreaking or, like, doing really cool stuff, bringing back some of these features? Like, would you want someone 10 years from now misremembering? Maybe there's another company that comes out and delivers a cheaper keyboard case, and in 2035, yeah, I really loved Keyboard Co. Didn't they, like, really do a good job bringing back keyboard cases? And someone in a chat like this will have to go, wait a minute, it was actually the Clicks case that brought that back. And wouldn't that feel bad if Michael Fisher's company, like, was misremembered like that? But we're kind of fine as techies going, well, I don't care who had it first. I don't care that this feature's been on Androids forever. Now that Apple has it, it's a feature that we can care about, right? Like, that's the moving the goalposts. And I have no patience for it. Which is not what I'm saying, because Michael Fisher at least acknowledged that Moto had it too, but I think it matters that we remember LG and Vivo really trying to promote that kind of action camera photography. Wow, yeah, Restream. Man, 2 weeks like 2 weeks in a row. Almost every week now, Restream has just been not great. Get this out of the way here. JGJ 4430 sub 400 in 2026 rates. No. So, I mean, like, well, I guess, yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. But an incredible experience, like, beyond daily driver. And if you start playing with hardware out there, a $500 phone like a Vivo V70 is ridiculous overkill for all of the things we talk about with average consumers. Infinix, overkill, is now overkill. They've got a Snapdragon 7 in there. They've got 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, one really good camera, one mediocre camera. Like, that phone, big battery, super fast charging. That phone is overkill for what people, average consumers, are going to need as a daily driver, communicator, social media experience. If we believe tech influencers at the stupidest knuckle-dragging assessment of what an average consumer is, the nicest version of that should easily be attainable under $400. And that's not like a, well, accounting for inflation. Because look at what we had for like a Pixel 3a, right? Shopping some sales or the launch price, like between a $300 and $400 phone, $400, $450, $500, somewhere in there. So between $400 and $500, you could have gotten a Pixel 4a. Now compare that Pixel 4a to the Infinix Note 60 Pro. Like, that is not competition. The Note 60 Pro demolishes the Pixel 4a. And our money was worth more when the Pixel 4a was a new phone. So I feel like the scale of tech has definitely worked in our favor when companies actually have to compete. From Jonky, Horizon Lock is a gimmick anyway. People will try it once and never again. What I will say I loved, I do have quite a few Vivo videos of Lex when she was a toddler. And I was using Horizon Lock. You know, Verizon Lock-in. I was using Horizon Lock a lot. She'd be like toddling around, and I would go into Horizon Lock and just run around after her. And it was cool because I could like, so instead of like shooting, holding the phone like this and shooting down, I would hold the phone under and drop my arm till it was like eye level with my toddler, and then she'd go running around. So yeah, not a main use, and most of my video I would really try to go for quality over stabilization. But I've got some really fun old videos of her like running around the creeks, and this was like as we were starting to open up from the pandemic, we would go down to the park that's near our house, like some really cool stuff like that. But that's also part of the education. Think of how many people never touch a setting in their iPhone camera. They have to have an iPhone Pro. You have to have the best cameras. But then they end up just sort of shooting the most regular 12 megapixel 1080p video they can. And also because they're not buying a larger storage, well, these videos take up more storage. I've got to get rid of these videos and I've got to pay more for my iCloud. And so, okay, and they never go to like 4K or, you know, higher quality video. So it's a gimmick, but it's one that, like, if you know all of the features on your phone camera, you can get so much more out of your phone camera. And that's where I feel like, man, it's just such a glaring missed opportunity, educational opportunity, because people could really love this stuff. Something like a Horizon Lock, like I've got a cousin, my wife's cousin, so a cousin-in-law, and he was all about like GoPro cameras and action cameras, and he kind of got out of that, but like he was a really active guy. Would go like he had a little boat that he would go water skiing with, you know, like that kind of dude. Got really into drones, things like that, and you're like, that is exactly the kind of feature that he would have loved. Oh, for those times I don't have my GoPro, let me make sure I do this Horizon Lock thing, and look at how crazy smooth this video is as I'm on the back of a boat and my daughter's on water skis, and like, you know, I'm doing all this crazy photography and stuff. But he's also that kind of guy who owns all of these toys, but mostly just uses them in whatever stock settings the gadget has out of the box. So I just feel like it's a missed opportunity. I don't disagree with you, Jonky. I just feel like we could help people love these things. Instead, we're just telling them don't bother because most people won't use these settings. I won't sell you a steak because babies can't chew it. Everybody laughing at me slipping on Verizon Lock. Yeah, that was a pretty good mental Freudian slip there. I had a good one. It was pretty good. A DTNL Verizon Lock. Dude, my iPhone has been locked in Verizon since 2011. Y'all Android folks are a decade behind. And you're still getting all the updates too. I love it. Your iPhone is just way better than anyone else's iPhone. Oh, JFR 43. No matter what phone, I always teach my family to go to the highest they can in their phone camera. My phone right now is 4K 60 HDR. So, for my family and friends, I will make a point out of trying to get them to 4K. I have, again, I really love 4K 60 and 4K 120. I also like to edit projects, and maybe I finish my project in 4K 30 so I can do a half speed or a 1/4 speed slow-mo. But it's just such a big deal. Like, for my other family members, we'll be at an event. Like we'll have like a little family reunion, or unfortunately, maybe a funeral. And I show people like, oh yeah, just bump up this quality, shoot this. And they look at it their phone like, oh yeah, I guess it looks better. But you know, it's totally that placebo-y. I was told it was better. I'm not really looking. But then we have enough older family members that we end up creating like a Google Photos bucket, and then they get to see that video on a computer screen. And then it matters. Oh, so yeah, we just got, my cousin, second cousin, Violet. Oh yeah, we shot this in 4K, and oh, when I look at this on my MacBook, whoa, this video's incredible. But on the phone screen, it's just like, oh yeah, I guess it's better. I don't know, maybe. They don't really know what to look for. So I, for me, it's just a win if I can at least get them up to 4K. I don't think 8K makes any difference now. Right now, there's just it's a radical diminishing return. But the jump from 1080p to 4K is significant, especially with phone video compression. That's a big deal. But it's still just like getting them to look at this on a better screen is also part of the challenge too. I guess if you really do live entirely out of your phone, then if you're shooting 1080p, it's really not going to matter. But for me, I'm looking at this stuff on any number of different displays. Like I mention this all the time. I've got my daughter's first steps in 4K. I got to show my daughter her own first steps in 4K. And it looks better. It's low light, crunchy, noisy, grainy video, but it looks better on this 4K art monitor than it would on the phone screen. So that kind of stuff, I feel it helps, but it's such a huge educational hurdle to overcome because they've heard so many people, oh, it doesn't even matter anyway. Oh, he even doesn't. Who even's gonna care? Like, are you really gonna even look at this stuff? And you're like, why are your family memories this disposable? Flippin', like, my grandparents had photo albums. It was fun looking through the photo albums, like seeing what my mom looked like as a teenager, right? Like, oh, haha, her hair looks so funny. Like, why do we let these companies convince us that like our history is completely disposable just for your social media likes in that moment, and that's really what's important? It just kills me. Because again, like I've been saying in all this, I think people would love their phones more if they understood what they could really do and they were buying to the level that they really needed. Because I don't think either of those things are happening right now. Oh, junkie. Yeah, this is always tough. Even worse, they leave old photos and videos on an old phone and eventually lose access to them because they don't remember the lock code or whatever. It's so sad. Or like the battery puffs. So I never did repair that Galaxy S6. So the Galaxy S6, it was the one without the SD card. A part of Marie's early pregnancy with Lex, I was shooting photos with the Galaxy S6. And most of those, I was getting back to Google Photos. Most of those I was backing up to a computer because I was still like regularly talking about that phone camera. But I know there were photos during the pregnancy that I never copied off of that phone. And then the battery puffed so aggressively that it popped the back plate and the screen. So the screen was non-functional and the back plate was completely rizzed. It was a full spicy pillow. And I had it in a like firearms grade lockbox that was also fireproof. Like designed so that like you could put documents in this box, and if you had a fire, it should hopefully keep the documents in the box safe. That's what I had my Galaxy S6 inside. And eventually got to the point where I was like, I just don't think we're ever really going to get this repaired. I took it to one of the landfills around us was doing a hazardous waste removal day. Handed it to them very gingerly, said, hey, that's dangerous. Okay, bye, love you, smooches. And then it's gone. Now that's gone because Samsung uses shoddy battery technology. From Kenox. Do you have a video app for phones you use? Also, what's your your OTG drive setup like? I've been running out of room on my phone. So, Kenox, do you mean video watching or video recording? Video watching, I like Plex if I'm just looking at my phone screen. I like VLC if I'm connecting it to another display or some fancy face glasses. If I'm recording video, Blackmagic camera is great if you want a more sort of streamlined, compressed MP4. Motion camera is amazing if you want to like have humongous file sizes but with tons of data to edit with. The raw footage that you can get from motion camera on these, especially like on Xiaomi's and Vivo's, it looks so good. The video is stupid big, but I run it through just like the DNG um, finishing. So you get this motion camera raw, this MC raw video file, and you run it through their desktop software, and it takes forever to process. And then you get this folder, and the folder is literally just DNG files, and each DNG file is a frame of video. And then you put that folder into DaVinci Resolve, and DaVinci goes, I know what to do with this. And it gives you a video timeline that is individual frames of raw data, and it looks like film. It's like from a little phone camera sensor, it looks like 16 millimeter film. It's a little grainy, it's a little rough, it's a little blurry, it is not processed, beautiful HDR finished footage. And I'll throw a LUT on it, or I'll do some tweaking to the color and to the vibrance and the saturation in the little bottom panel for editing. And it looks so good. It's really cool. For storage, I was using a PNY. I like my PNY. This is a little big. I don't know if I still have it here. Or did I put it in the case? The one that I've moved to, and it's been frustrating because they announced this product, and I did a review on it that's in early access on the Patreon. I finished the review and said, okay, well, I'm going to wait until they announce it publicly, until you can buy it. I don't want to put out a review, say how great this product is, and then no one can click on a link and buy it. But it's the Hohem. So Hohem makes those really cool AI face tracking gimbals, and they have a little 2 terabyte SSD that clips into a phone. So here's my Vivo, and you clip in this drive, and then you can tell Blackmagic camera and motion cam to record directly to this solid state drive. It works great. It's really good. But you can do that with any other SSD also. I'm still a little gun shy on SanDisk. My uncle had some SanDisk parts totally fail on him. My 2 terabyte SanDisk has been okay, but I've also not been using it a lot. And then my Kingston drive has been working well, but it's not the fastest. So I have the 1 terabyte Kingston over here. So I have the 1 terabyte Kingston, and this is the one that had fewer issues. So the 2 terabyte had a lot of data failure issues. The 1 terabyte was actually a more solid product, but this is the slowest SSD that I have in my collection right now. So I don't use it as much just because, again, I can write footage to the drive just fine. Any of the write speeds for a solid state drive are going to be more than adequate. Well more than adequate for recording 4K video from Blackmagic camera. Probably going to do you fine for motion camera raw, but getting the footage off of the drive and onto another computer to edit is what takes forever. Oh, and he's saying editing. So editing video, I live entirely in LumaFusion. And then for editing photos, I like Photomate R3. Those are the apps that I use for editing photos and video. So I'm gonna drink some water here real quick, and then I did want to talk about this new iPhone, and then we also have a Motorola announcement that's kind of a big deal from MWC, and I feel we can go out on those stories Let's cover the iPhone first, just because it's stupid and I hate it, but it's worth covering. Okay, let me get this out of the way here. I don't need my Google Trends data of the Galaxy S26. I it was such a stupid keynote. I'm so disappointed in Samsung. For a company that I despise as much as Samsung, I still need them to be more competitive than they're being. Because I was very critical and very disappointed in the Pixel 10a. I've been really gun shy about the Pixel A series phones because they seem to have a lot of battery problems. And influencers seem fine now that Google is spending a ton of money on marketing, even though they don't really have the biggest market share. Well, if you want to be cool with Google and get invited to their events and get phones to talk about, well, got to overlook multiple generations of battery failures and updates that throttle and terrible policy like having a Pixel Pro that's going to start CPU throttling at 200 charge cycles. That's bad. And we should not like that. So it makes me actually kind of a little sad. Pixel 10a comes out. This is $600 phone when you bump up the storage to be a bit more competitive. The Vivo V70 as a $500 phone absolutely curb stomp murks the Pixel 10a. Like, it is not close. The overall smartphone experience, nope, I gotta go Vivo. Gotta go Vivo. So then we get the news today that Apple is coming out with the iPhone 17e. And it is a single camera device. I don't think that's particularly exciting, but we can also trust that Apple isn't doing something stupid like giving us one really good camera and one mediocre ultra wide, or one really good camera and then a dinky telephoto that can't do anything. But if you care about all of these stupid magnetic accessories, well, this is a MagSafe capable product. And we have to acknowledge that as a lifestyle companion device and the camera that most people are going to reach for first is their phone, that 128 gig of storage is too lean. And so now the iPhone 17 is coming with 256 gigabytes of storage. And all of their like data points. Oh, it's got 48 megapixel fusion camera. Garbage, right? It's going to be at best a 1/1.56, totally normal camera sensor. The resolution doesn't mean anything. That's all just garbage. It's going to have a Super Retina XDR display. It doesn't mean anything. It's probably going to have a fine screen. I don't know, it'll probably be 60 hertz and people will say like that's fine for this phone. But 256 gig of storage, MagSafe built in, $600. I think the notch is stupid. I'm bummed that it's a $600 phone with only one camera, but it's going to be more powerful and more power efficient than a Pixel 10a. It's going to match the Pixel 10a for storage. I don't know. Like, if Samsung and Google and Apple are telling us how much phones should cost, this looks like a more competitive option in the grand scheme of phones out there than what a Pixel has to offer at the same price. So I love all these excellent battery life, fast charging, and MagSafe. With fast wired charging using USB-C, the iPhone 17 can charge up to 50% in 30 minutes. So what is that, a 20-watt charger? It's going to be half of the battery capacity of like a OnePlus 13. I don't know. So maybe I'm giving this too much credit. You actually, now that I say this out loud, maybe it doesn't even have the 1 over 1.56. Maybe it'll have a 1 over 2.55, and it'll be similar camera quality to what we had back on the Galaxy S7 and LG G4 in terms of sensor level performance. Maybe that's where we're at. But you're telling me that this is what the average consumer, the regular degglers, are gonna use for their basic knuckle dragging moron needs. I hate that this is a $600 phone, and I hate that this is probably a better buy at $600 than what Google can do. And I hate that Samsung doesn't seem to have a device to properly mix it up and undercut or deliver a better value at $600. That a Galaxy S26 non-ultra, non-plus, just the regular version of the phone with its 25-watt charging is going to be $900. That doesn't sound like a value to me. I am not going to get a 17E. I'm not going to bother trying to review a 17E. This is not something that appeals to me, and I actually wish more consumers would say, hey, that doesn't sound like a very good bargain. But against a Pixel 10a and a Galaxy A, unfortunately, the 17E, it looks at least like a better deal than an iPhone Air, which will cost almost twice as much. That's like we've moved we've moved the spectrum of experiences to price so wildly out of whack that a $600 iPhone 17e actually starts to look like the more reasonable, cost-effective choice in the United States, where we don't get Vivos, where I can't get a Poco. I think I've got an M8 Pro over here on my desk that I think is a little expensive for what it is at like a $400 phone, depending on the region that you shop it in. And here's an iPhone that's 50% more expensive and has a lot less stuff going on for it. And that's what we're gonna act is like a more reasonable kind of product and purchase. It's great. It's great. It's great. JFR, come on, Juan, don't hate the new iPhone 17e. Don't hate it. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. JGJ saying it's an iPhone 16e with the features it's missing. What is it missing from the 16e? I don't remember the 16e well enough. Like, I don't memorize iPhone specs like I used to. From Ted, let me get Ted's comment up. Where is a good place to shop Vivo, Xiaomi, lights, etc.? So, the stores that I've done business with, I've done the most business with Wanda Mobile. No, I've done the most business with GizTop. I've done the least with Wanda Mobile, and very recently, I've started hanging out and chatting with the folks at Average Dad Tech, Average Dad Official. And you've got 3 really solid options for comparing, contrasting, pricing, and doing a little shopping if you'd like to bring in some phones like that. So, like, I would say generally in equal comparisons, I'm not saying one is better than the others. What I would say is shop them against each other and see who might give you the best deal, or at least give you the most assurance in shipping and support. But I would actively shop all 3. GizTop, Wanda Mobile, and Average Dad. Really, really solid experiences on all 3. Oh, and Ishmael just asked the same thing. Can you recommend a trusted seller that ships these global region phones? Those are the 3 that I would start with. Then from there, I mean, you can find sellers on eBay and AliExpress and what am I missing? Not like Temu. Oh, and sometimes you can even find some of these resellers on Amazon, but I feel you're going to pay way more of a markup because like they've got to have an official store listing on Amazon, so that's different than just like going to their website directly. I feel like that business rarely works out to being a better deal. Also, Georgie, it's a 1 over 2.55-inch type camera sensor. So yes, you too on your iPhone 17e. Thank you for correcting me on that. The second I said it, I was like, wait a minute, I don't think the 17e is actually going to have a bigger camera sensor. And that's not even a bigger camera sensor. Like that's just a normal camera sensor now, the 1 over 1.5. So yeah, so if it's got a 1 over 2.55, you are in similar territory to an iPhone SE. I want to say the original iPhone SE had the 1 over 2.55 and the Galaxy S7. So that's your super awesome camera tech is similar to the kind of camera tech that we had in the Galaxy S7. At least the in terms of sensor size. Sorry, I am trying to get to these comments, but Restream is being real weird with how comments are being selected and then put on screen. It's always like every time I just scroll through the list, it's like a 10-second delay for it to actually filter through the different comments. Come on. Okay, so the Samsung A57 is expected to have a 5,500 milliamp hour battery, faster charge at 45 watts. Yes, they are giving you more than the base S26 with the A57. That's hilarious. That's from Future. It's here. Command control device, Xiaomi 17 Ultra here in the EU is on carrier shelves, and for €50 more than the Galaxy S26 Ultra, it embarrasses Samsung completely, and especially when you factor in what you get in the box. Oh, Oliver, that's a good. I haven't shopped with them, but I have heard of them. Trading Shenzhen is a pretty good import site too. So also maybe add them to the list of sites to shop and compare. I have not purchased from them. I have purchased from. I have done business and shipped product with Giztop Wanda and Average Dad, but I have heard of Trading Shenzhen also. So JFR, don't get me wrong, Juan, I really would like to see you review an iPhone. I always liked your point of view on iPhone. I've been out of the loop for a bit. I handle every iPhone that comes out in very short experiences and very short bursts. And I just don't feel like promoting or talking about them. But I have been like, maybe I'll try and pick up an older iPhone, do sort of a retro on it. Like maybe a 17 Pro, now that it's been out for a while and it's gotten some updates and it's a more mature product. But then if I do that, it's going to be Patreon only. I refuse to support in any way any acknowledgement of Apple products and services on my main channel publicly, as I still feel like they are doing the most harm to the mobile market in general. And that they are most likely to hurt their own loyal customers first, and then Google and Samsung are going to copy the worst parts of their business model and try and make that happen here in Android. So I choose to not play ball with that. My feeling, my line in the sand. I might talk about their products. I might say, hey, these have been my experiences. Maybe you'll hear about it on parts of it on the podcast, but I'm not going to sit here and create content to then validate Apple's position as a market leader when they refuse to lead the market. And even acknowledging their presence is contributing to a narrative that I find very distasteful. Oh, Daniel, I mean, if we had more time, we should absolutely dig into this as maybe a video topic or maybe next week on the podcast. I just wonder I just wonder something about Apple and iPhone. How illegal is it to tell lies in an ad? I mean, Apple keeps lying about the zoom, telling it's optical without a telephoto lens. How come Apple isn't ever fined over this? So Apple is, but Apple's marketing vastly overshadows the corrective action of Apple's misrepresentations of their products. The biggie was it started in Australia, but they got tagged in a couple different regions around the globe. I can't remember what model of iPhone it was. I want to say it was like an iPhone XS, maybe an iPhone 11. But they had a commercial where it was an iPhone in a wind tunnel just getting pelted with like beverages and cake and all this stuff. And then there'd be this tiny little fine print disclaimer that iPhones actually can't survive this kind of abuse and this would void your warranty. And that was deemed insufficient. And I think in Australia, they were forced to remove that ad, and I think they had to pay a fine. But that ad ran with no counterpoint. It wasn't like Apple had to publicly rescind that ad and come out with another commercial saying, hey, you might have seen this commercial where we threw a cake at an iPhone. In reality, that won't work. So we apologize, and your iPhone won't be that durable. Do you see how, again, this entire podcast, I guess the theme of this podcast is consumer education. You can see how marketing completely eclipses all of the opportunities to better teach consumers about their products. So that one Apple commercial probably got way more traction, way more resonating in people's minds. Oh, my iPhone, I'm going to buy the good phone. My iPhone is super durable. And then there was a class action lawsuit or a removal lawsuit or a truth in advertising investigation, and Apple had to like pay a fine, but there was no corrective action on the miseducation of what that durability rating would have represented on an iPhone. So now all those consumers who saw the cake commercial just have that in their brain because it's a cool mental image. It was amazing photography. Like the video is awesome in that same way that we love like, will it blend or will it be crushed or, you know, scratch and bend tests and all that stuff. It has nothing to do with an actual good product. We just love seeing gadgets get abused. So how do we fix that? What needs to happen is when Apple is caught misrepresenting the capabilities of their products, they need to put more effort into correcting their ad than what the ad actually reached. And in a just world, your commercial ran for this amount of time on this number of channels. Now you need to do is say, if you bought an iPhone because of this commercial, we have to accept a return, and we need to run a corrective apology commercial for longer than the original commercial ran to make sure that we reach a similar number of people after the popularity of that phone has already died off. Oh, you can't make businesses apologize for lying to their customers. Oh, that's so mean. And that's why Apple is a $3 trillion brand. Again, I don't think they're putting out products that deserve it, with the exception of the M chips. The M chips are awesome. I don't think they're putting out products that have earned that reputation. They're definitely not delivering service like they used to when they were a plucky little think different company. They are the IBM of this era. They have become exactly what they railed against in their old commercials. And they've got a stranglehold on their consumers, which is monopolistic and anti-competitive. But if they put out a commercial, well, I guess you just got to pay $1 million fine. That'll show you, Apple. You give me 10 whole dollars and you just promise you'll never do it again. But the damage was done. The commercial ran and consumers learned about a product, but they learned false information. Let me take another drink of water here. All right. So I do want to wrap this up. Again, I have nothing great. Actually, hold on. Let me, real quick. I just want to see Pixel 10a GSM Arena. So I can look up the specs and read the specs at you on the Pixel 10a. I'm so glad I didn't get one of these. Yeah, okay, that's actually better than I thought it would be. So the Pixel 10a has two cameras. One is a half-inch type sensor, so very slightly larger than the main camera sensor on the iPhone 17e. But they also have one of those dinky 1/3 inch ultra wides, which I don't know. I don't really feel like I've been super into ultra wides since the OnePlus 9 Pro. Like I did a lot of video off of the ultra wide on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Yeah, I guess that is technically better. It would be nicer to have a wider field of view, and then you can still do pixel crop from a ever so slightly larger sensor on the Pixel 10a. But the iPhone 17e is definitely going to outperform the Pixel 10a and probably get better battery life to boot. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just $600. $600 for something that's kind of comparable to what you had on the Galaxy S7 or LG G4. It's not good. I just think it's real bad. Hold on. I want to get to... Okay, there's our last link. So I just want to wrap up this week's show, getting into our kind of last 10 minutes of official time, and we'll probably run just a little late after this. So if you have other questions about stuff that you want to talk about, you want to talk about audiophile gear, I'd be happy to ramble for another 20 minutes about audiophile gear. But I did want to highlight this from MotorolaNews.com, the actual website, the actual press release site, instead of an editorial about this. Motorola excited to announce a partnership with Graphene OS Foundation, marking a new chapter in smartphone security and expanding its enterprise portfolio. Motorola is introducing a new era of smartphone security through a long-term partnership with the Graphene OS Foundation, the leading nonprofit in advanced mobile security and creators of a hardened operating system based on the Android open source project. Together, Motorola and the Graphene OS Foundation will work to strengthen smartphone security and collaborate on future devices engineered with Graphene OS capability. This is a really big deal because someone please correct me if I'm wrong. The majority of work on Graphene seems to support pixels. So Graphene OS is a version, a flavor of Android. It's a ROM that you can flash on a Pixel, but lately that means Tensor. So Motorola, working with MediaTek and with Qualcomm, I feel like this would be a good opportunity to look at how we get better software support, better driver support, better hardware support, so that we can expand on the mission of delivering a product that's maybe serving up less telemetry, maybe reining in some of the services that we install, social media, Google services, cloud services, AI services. Maybe it'll be a bit better siloed and partitioned. Those kinds of things, if that level of privacy and that level of security matter to you, this to me sounds like a very big step in the right direction for acknowledging the work of a community that has been trying to talk about privacy and safety and security. Motorola putting some effort behind this would be really cool. Also, it would be nice, I don't know that this will be a part of their collaboration or their partnership, but it would be nice for Motorola if they sell a Think phone, right? Like a Lenovo or a Motorola Think phone, a Lenovo Moto. And we promise it's like, hey, you've got corporate needs, you've got corporate infrastructure, you've got to protect the data on this phone, you've got to really secure it. But then also, if Moto can offload some of their responsibilities in pushing out OTAs and new builds of Android, and Graphene OS is responsible for that, that maybe instead of just kind of a loose commitment to a number of years of software support, they can just point to Graphene and say, like, as long as you can keep this phone running and as long as Graphene is putting out updates, then your device is going to be supported to this window or this expectation. Maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 7, something like that. Or maybe you can build your own right? If you're a developer, if you're working with these kinds of ROMs and flashing and you want to build your own, this is a 12-year-old phone and we've got this level of support and you can take it up to Android 20, go for it. Just go ahead and do it. Like something like that. I doubt that's really what this relationship is going to resemble. But there's the hope, right? We got to have a little hope, just like a little, please let this go our way for once. But I just think it's interesting. Like, I think this could be really interesting to see what Motorola does. Because I'm trying to remember, like, any type of. Please, someone in the chat correct me, because there have to be other examples of this. But I'm going far back to, like, OnePlus, where there was this sort of community of ROM developers making their own kind of custom flavor of Android. And that's the work that another manufacturer opts to sort of include with their hardware. And I'm struggling. I can't think of a more recent example of, here's an alternative Android operating system, and a manufacturer is using that on their device. There have been other, like, skins. I think there was even, like, Nova Launcher, or a flavor of Nova Launcher was included on another device at one point. Now I can't remember, and my brain is totally Swiss cheese. But I can't think of another time where Motorola is they're the number 3 in the United States still, I think. That's a big get for graphene, even if it's just like a one-off device or one product line kind of device. That is still way more exposure than graphene has ever had on its own. That a major manufacturer is presenting that as an opportunity for people to check out this product. I mean, so much so, I'm even thinking, like, I still do have my Pixel 7 Pro, that maybe I'm going to use my Pixel 7 Pro for a year, just flash graphene on it and see how it runs. Could be kind of cool. We'll have to see. Ron GKP, hello Moto. And command control device. You can always build Graphene OS for other devices unofficially, but the foundation, will never ever accept anything because of hardware requirements for security, which Motorola will meet. So again, this has to be multifaceted though, because that means Motorola and their relationship with Qualcomm and or their relationship with MediaTek is able to fulfill what Graphene OS requires for that kind of support. That's a big deal. Historically, it has been difficult for that entire chain of support to be fulfilled. And if you can build it and you get the actual information and resources you need, that could be really big. That could actually filter over and start to bleed into how other people build for Qualcomm-powered devices and for MediaTek-powered devices. Also from command control device, for 95% of users looking to use a custom ROM, Lineage OS without Google services is enough. And from developer perspective, Lineage OS is far more forgiving in terms of hardware requirements. Like I said, I haven't really played much with anything lately. From Ismail, Motorola, that's good to hear. I hope they open it up for the US market. That's one where even if they don't, I would strongly consider myself, personally, I would strongly consider importing a Moto. I haven't played with a Moto since the Moto Edge 23, and I didn't have it long enough to do a proper review on it. I think my last Moto daily driver was the Moto Edge 22. That's been a while. It's been like 3 or 4 years. So, like, I even used, what was that Razer? The most recent Razer Plus, not the Razer Ultra. I was very disappointed in that Razer. Like, it has a Snapdragon 8 series chip, but like, there was no point in using that chip in the Razer because the performance was miserable. The phone ran hot. It got laggy and stuttery really bad while you were setting it up. The battery life just tanks as you try to do things with it. That phone needed a Snapdragon 7. And it just was not a good experience. And I get it. There's the kitsch, there's the novelty, there's the nostalgia of having a Razer flip phone. But man, you put it up against just any average mid-ranger phone, and at like half the price, the mid-ranger is just going to be a better overall experience. Oh, right, I didn't even say the name of the company. I was like, oh, remember when OnePlus did it? CyanogenMod. Yes, Cyanogen was the OS. CyanogenMod was the OS that OnePlus collaborated with. I'm sorry. I just said the OnePlus thing. I didn't say the both parts thing. But I'm really but that's what I'm trying to say is like I can't think of another situation analogous to Moto using Graphene OS that's like OnePlus and CyanogenMod. So I guess like does no one else remember in between OP and Moto, was there any other developers made their own ROM and it made it into a mass market device? Because even Moto doing a one-off security phone is still going to be way bigger than any other like small like boutique like a Fairphone kind of manufacturer. Motorola will blink, it'll be a massive failure in terms of sales numbers for Moto, and it will still crush like every other boutique phone combined, like Fairphone, EOS, whatever. So this is like a really big deal. I can't remember another player using this kind of OS strategy since CyanogenMod. So, JGJ, I don't remember. The major question, didn't Google complain when OnePlus had the CyanogenMod partnership? I do not recall. At least that if there was any kind of like public push or Google inspired conflict over using that. Oh, command control device replying to JGJ saying something happened with CyanogenMod immediately after launching with OnePlus, and the ROM got forked into Lineage OS with the same people, just not under the company that basically got acquired by OnePlus. Okay, that makes sense to me. I don't know that that would have been any Google conflict. I just remember CyanogenMod eventually got forked, and then we started calling it Oxygen or something like that. And it's funny because it's now like it's not really Oxygen. Oh, I remember original Oxygen was so much better, and you're like, it really wasn't. I had someone say they missed Fun Touch on one of my Vivo videos, and it was everything I could do to not reply. Just no, you don't. Don't lie. No one misses Fun Touch. Origin OS is definitely better. No, just don't do that. I picked up. So, is it on? No, I turned it back off again. So my Vivo X80 Pro, great updates, updated all the way to Android 15. Like, not bad, not bad at all. Still on Fun Touch. Guess what's not fun to use? Fun Touch. Now that I've been playing with Origin OS on the X100, X200, X300, I don't like going back to Fun Touch. I don't like saying Fun Touch as the skin on an Android device. Sounds gross in my mouth. So while the X80 Pro was a fun revisit because I love the hardware, I adore the fingerprint sensor is the best fingerprint sensor that's ever been put into a phone ever on a screen. Beautiful. So much to like about this device. Do not like even having to tell you what the name of the skin is. Don't like using it, don't like saying it. It was that terrible horror film. Don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it. Was it The Bye Bye Man? Oh God, man, my brain just like, that's terrible. So some fun gadgety stuff to look forward to with Graphene OS kind of coming around the corner. I've got headsets, I've got headphones, we've got phones on the table. I'm under embargo on 2 other sort of mid-ranger and lower end phones, like some really cool things. I'm even still trying to figure out, a company sent me a little clip-on microphone. That's pretty cool. All of the gadgetry, like I feel we're stuck at the premium tier and the ultra tier of the market because companies are afraid to charge more for a really expensive phone. So instead, we're playing these games where an ultra phone in 2026 is kind of a part swap and sometimes a downgrade from a phone in 2025. But then I pick up just a baller mid-ranger. Like a Poco M series phone is now a legit mid-range phone. M series used to be entry level. They used to be the cheap disposable garbage end of the Poco lineup, and now an M8 and an M8 Pro are overkill powerful for most people's daily driver needs. I feel like people are upset because yes, our mid-rangers and entry-level phones have all price creeped. An entry-level phone now is probably not a $200 device. It's probably closer to a $300 device. But it is so much nicer than the last couple generations of cheaper entry-level phones. Right? That's kind of fun. At the premium and ultra tier, it feels like we're just eating the price increase. And sometimes we're getting less phone for spending more. At the entry and mid-ranger, I'm spending more, but it feels like more. And that to me is a lot more fun. It's a lot more interesting to talk about. That Vivo V70 just really reset my whole year and what my expectations should be. I love the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. I love the Vivo X200 Pro. I'm kind of interested in seeing what Vivo's doing with the X300 Pro. I don't know if I'm going to get one. But all of those feel like we're kind of holding in place, treading water. Then you get really excited like, oh, every Vivo X300 Pro image is showing like a camera cage with a lens and a fill light LED and microphones. And you're like, yeah, the whole package, that looks pretty cool. But I don't know that the phone itself is going to be fundamentally much different than the X200 Ultra. We'll have to see. I don't know. So anyway, I'm just rambling at this point right now. If anyone wants to talk about like I just listened to the new Gorillaz album on the Meze 99 Classics V2. And it was fun. I don't think I'm gonna put that album on repeat, but that new album is a really fun, weird mashup collaboration heavy exploration of soundscapes. Like there's Bollywood and Depeche Mode influences in tracks, then hip hop vocals just come on top, and you're like, I don't think I've ever heard anything like this. I'm glad that I've listened to this once. I probably won't live in this album, but I'm so happy to have experienced it. And just a nice little, homecoming. I just love seeing Gorillaz on my music player. It's cool. It's fun. It's cute. So let me take one more drink of water. I'm just getting silly at this point. I think we can go ahead and wrap this show up. This was maybe one of the most rambly podcasts I've done in a while, which is great. Johnny Marr was quite good on the turn he was on. 100, 100, 100, 100. Got to keep it 100, 100. I love it. So, lots of stuff coming out. Lots of weirdness happening in the world around us. I really tried to avoid getting into sort of the tech politics and the general politics, and I mostly succeeded. I couldn't help but express the concern I have for my friends that are traveling overseas right now and hitting shows like MWC. And I'm hoping that we'll still see some like last interesting stories come out of MWC. I'm worried that what happened in CES is going to happen with MWC, where if you were on the ground, MWC was amazing for all this crazy technology, the robot Honor phone, again, the 17 Ultra's global release, the preview of the X300 Pro, X300 Ultra global release, like really cool stuff, right? I'm worried that we're going to get a filtering of that through the lens of robots, AI, physical AI, agentic AI, which is all the garbage. Like, it's all the stuff that no one really cares about. Companies care about that because they're in deep with shareholders, and the entire stock market is relying on AI to float terrible investment strategies with unsustainable business models. I avoided like all the news with Anthropic and OpenAI, but I would still hope that people go and check this stuff out because it matters a great deal. I had people like, "Oh, I'm so glad you didn't bring up politics." And you're like, "Yes, I did." because I mentioned how this Vivo is a terrible phone against the value proposition of a Samsung. And the reason you can't buy this Vivo is politics. Everything is politics. And if you're saying you don't get into politics, that means you're just a patsy who likes billionaires stomping on your neck. But right now, there's a lot of scary stuff happening. I come from a military family, and thankfully my dad was an officer who worked largely in sciences and technology and communication. And I never had the fear of like seeing my dad leave on a business trip, a TDY, get deployed somewhere, and worry that he might never come home because of like his actual job. I mean, I think every kid like, oh no, what if he gets into a car accident, or what if his plane crashes? Like that kind of stuff is normal, but like I feel like the kids of soldiers have a very different pressure and anxiety in their homes when the headlines of today are what they are. And so I don't have a solution for it, but I will use what meager little platform I have to keep pointing out there is a consistent series of events that our media consistently misrepresents and lies about. That we can look at one side of the aisle and laugh about how nerdy and ineffective they are, and then we can look at the other side of the aisle, which is weaponizing misinformation, which is putting pressure on public communication, which is actively encouraging wealth transfer to billionaires, and is now, yet again, engaging in armed conflict. It's going to be massive impact on human lives. So we can be above politics, but at some point we need to care. And I know I'm mostly preaching to the choir here, but we need to care. And it's not enough to say like, oh, but I don't like wokeness. Like, you know what? Everything that they lied about when it came to their political opponents, they've done. And this has been consistent since the Reagan administration, that they keep lying and misrepresenting what their opponents are about so that they themselves could do what they accused their opponents of wanting to do. And we see this play out time and time again. So it has to matter, and we have to be vocal, and we have to put pressure on people we elect. And let's say we elect someone on the other side, that doesn't mean our job is done, that means our job just began. If we get to have an election here in this country for the midterms, if we vote in people on the other side of the political aisle, that doesn't mean we finished our job. That means we just began to harass the crap out of the people we say we agree with to make sure they actually do what they promise they'll do. It's not enough to cast a vote and walk away. It's not enough to refuse to vote and then complain from the sidelines. Now we actually have to do some stuff, and it doesn't matter what we say on social media. You go out and have a rant on social media. Me, right now, I have a rant in the end of my podcast. That doesn't matter. But after I'm done with this, I'm going to try and write my senators. I'm going to try and write my congressional rep. I'm going to try and write my state attorney general. I'm going to try. But if it's someone just, oh, I'm so angry about what's happening in this world right now, and oh, the Middle East, and I'm going to say this on Blue Sky. That doesn't mean anything. They're happy that we're contained on Twitter. And we're trying to fight the good fight on Twitter. Oh, no, this is all misinformation. So I'm going to use Twitter more so that I'll tell people that the other people on Twitter are lying. Cool. We've actually taken our protest and fenced ourselves off so that no one can be impacted by this distasteful correction of political weaponized misinformation. So I hope you are safe. And I hope the people you care about are also safe. And if the people you care about are not safe, it is a hollow phrase that feels so empty coming out of my mouth, but I feel for you. I am afraid for you, and I sympathize as best I can, being so far removed from that kind of conflict. But I hope you and they are okay, and if they aren't, please proactively have my deepest of sympathies to see how terribly this entire exercise has played out in stupidity politics. And I hope we can learn from this before catastrophic failure. Every day that this stuff goes on, I am less convinced we will learn from this before catastrophic failure. I hope. That's the best I got. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep talking to people. I'm going to keep ranting in the ends of stupid, long, gadgety, nerdy podcasts. But that's all I got. So I'm going to keep doing it. And I hope others who are like-minded and similarly concerned from a variety of political spectrums will at least contribute to the conversation as well. So, everybody, I want you to have an amazing week. I hope you can have an amazing week. I want you to do awesome with your technology. I want you to be awesome with your technology. And I'll catch you back here next week for another episode of the Monday Morning Tech Chat Show on the SGGQA podcast. Be safe. Take care of yourselves so you can keep taking care of others. I'll catch you back. I love you all. Be well.